never meant to fight. I was never meant to hide. Living the life I can't reside. Any of my paper planes inside. I was never made to be like everybody else to stay alive. I can no longer keep up with the lies, but that's what it takes for me to survive. So as promised from the last episode, I'll be running you through the changes that I made in the chorus of Entitled 2. And also, I'll probably be singing an octave lower because I haven't warmed up my voice and it's pretty hard to sing that chorus, to be honest. Yeah, we'll run through the first half first, and I'll sing you the original version, the initial version first, and then the revised version after, just to remind you of how things changes around. I was never meant to fight. I was never meant to be fine. Living the life I don't desire, that can't find my wings all this time. And then here's the revised version. I was never meant to fight. I was never meant to hide. Living the life I can't reside. Any of my paper planes inside. Also, one thing I forgot to tell you about the initial version of that chorus is that is where the reference for the real and fake wings in Gifted Kid came from, because chronologically I did write this one first before Gifted Kid. Actually, let me just sing that part in Gifted Kid for you. It's in the pre-chorus. You said you were impressed, you just want the best, that you never promised the kid anything when he tried to touch the sun with paper wings that they burn off the sky. That part. But anyway, let's come back to Untitled 2. So the reason why I change it from referencing wings, like having your wings confined, to not be able to reside any of the paper planes inside, is that I wanted to phrase it a little bit differently. This is how I see it. And we're talking about metaphors here, right? So wings can symbolize one's potential, and having that being confined means that they're not be able to be true to themselves. And paper planes can symbolize hopes and dreams as well, because that's the metaphors I set out. Basically, I changed it from not being able to live the life you want and not be able to be true to yourself. I changed that to not even being able to dream about that, basically. Yeah, I'll probably come back to that when we're talking about the title, and you'll see how everything adds up and why I decided to go with a more tragic metaphor. But yeah, let's move on to the second half now. The same as before, I'll sing you the original one first, and then we'll move on to the revised version. I was never meant to be like everybody else to stay alive. It felt like I don't wanna try, but what's the point if I do it to survive? And here's the revised version. I was never meant to be like everybody else to stay alive. I can no longer keep up with the lies, but that's what it takes for me to survive. So it's not that drastic of a change compared to the first half. Technically, it means the same thing. Both two versions, they mean the same thing, but it's just phrased differently. The initial one is a question, and the revised one is a statement. So yeah, the first one questions the effort of even trying, and it also implies that I'm giving up, trying to fit in the mold, and trying to live like everyone else. Whereas the revised version implies a more realistic conflict, where I admit that, okay, yeah, trying to fit in with other people is killing me, and I'm giving that up, but at the same time, I still have to do it to survive. It's slightly different there in terms of the nuances, but by phrasing it this way in a statement like that, I also apparently define surviving is not the opposite of death. Look at it this way. The opposite of death is life, right? And by saying surviving is not the opposite of death, I also imply that surviving is not the same as living. Does that make sense? The connection between death and surviving is not opposite of each other, whereas the relationship between life and death is the opposite of each other. That means surviving and living is not the same. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because what I'm saying here is that I having to do what's killing me to survive, not to live. Ironic, right? So musically, I actually did something similar to Options, where at the end of the chorus, instead of returning to the tonic, which is a major chord, in this case, B major, I flip it to the parallel minor, which is B minor. Follow right after, I think I play this sort of interlude that goes something like this. I'm not sure if it's the same one in the track. But then, different from Options, verse 2 doesn't start with, or it's not in B minor, but we go to somewhere else. That A7 is probably a hint for you already. We're going back to B major. But instead, we're departing from the 4-note motive that we talked about in the last episode. These ones. Those 4 notes. It goes something like this. So now we'll die if I keep hiding away what's bleeding me dry. And then the second half, there's this beautifully voiced modulation that I did on the piano that my head probably almost exploded figuring that out. But I'll show you on the keyboard. So I'll play you that second half of the chorus first, slowly, so you'll see how it sounds first. So it starts from here. So with the full verse 2, it sounds like this. So now I'll die if I keep hiding away what's bleeding me dry. But roses don't have thorns to hurt the beat. Then we're back to the parade with a 4-note motive. Let it shine away, let it shine away. Not everything needs to be filled with pain. I don't need no more chance to run in the storm out there. Let's keep pulling me apart. Let's talk about the title for a little bit now, even though I might review it to you already as I edit it. I decided to call it Condition Imposter. Now, obviously, why? What does that even mean? Especially when last episode I said that this song is about the feelings of accepting to be human, to be weak and vulnerable in a world where you have to be strong all the time to simply survive, not necessarily to live. That's an important difference, right? Well, like I just said throughout this episode, and at the end of the chorus as well, this song is about someone who is doing what's killing them to simply survive, because they were made to believe that the environment that they grew up in makes them feel like they have to be strong all the time to simply survive, and that any moment of weakness or vulnerability would convince them that they don't belong there. They were made or conditioned to believe that they are an imposter if they are not strong, when in fact they were just being true to themselves. They were just being themselves, a human being with emotions. And remember that paper plane metaphor that I use in the chorus, and the difference between them is that one is the wings is symbolizing the inability to be true to themselves, to show their emotions, right? And the paper planes symbolize the fact that they can't even dream of that. Now, the reason why I use paper planes is that the environment that they grew up in, right, already convinced them that showing emotions is wrong, is weak, and that makes them an imposter. So that means they already believe that they can't even show their emotions. But with that belief and with that condition as well, they also convinced that even dreaming of showing emotions or being themselves is also wrong. So yeah, that's why I wanted to take that step further, because not being able to be vulnerable is already a given in that condition, in that environment. Not being able to dream of that even makes it more tragic, I would say. I keep referring to the character in this song as someone instead of myself, is because I actually exaggerated it a bit to, well, get the message across, of course. But yeah, I also want to start to not get my personal narrative too involved in my art now. I feel like at times it can limit me as well if I only turn to myself to tell a story. I don't know, it's just something I've been trying out, I guess. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this song. I'm refraining from spoiling too much for when the album is coming out, because we are getting close to that already, and I'm almost done producing it and arranging this track already. But yeah, next episode we'll probably and finally get to No Promises, the one that starts everything here. Anyway, till then, see ya.